Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank all members for agreeing to take this expedited approach to ensure that we looked at Bill C9 and try to get it passed quickly. The Minister has spoken a lot tonight about the historic low interest rates and debt servicing charges for the Government of Canada, but the average Canadian isn't getting any breaks on interest payments, and the 6-month deferral on mortgages is over, and people are experiencing a real fear of having to go bankrupt on mortgage charges, and certainly credit card rates aren't going down. It was in April that the previous Minister of Finance negotiated with the banks to reduce. I want to ask the Honourable Minister, 5 out of the 6 big banks experienced higher than expected profits in the third quarter. Will the minister work with the banks and get them to cut their interest rates in half and help Canadians?
Well, Minister of Finance.
I would like to thank the member, I was going to say opposite, but from Saanich Gulf Island, for her, as usual, very thoughtful question and for her tremendous care for the lives and struggles of Canadians. The issues she raises, both about mortgage deferrals and about credit cards, are very good ones. And this is something that we are monitoring and looking at as we enter the second wave of the pandemic.
Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. My next set of questions really go to the tourism sector in particular. For many of my constituents, it's not rent that's their problem. In the tourism industry, they have mortgage fixed costs, which are a lot like rent, but Bill C9 doesn't help them. Would the minister be willing to look at flexibility to realize that for some businesses, it's their mortgage that is their rent?
The Honourable Minister of Innovation Science.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable member for her question, and she's absolutely right. One of the sectors that has been hit significantly has been the tourism sector. We acknowledge that, and that is why we've been very clear about our support for this sector, a sector that employs over 550,000 Canadians. And over the past few years, the Government of Canada has contributed $460 million to this sector to make sure that we support this sector, and we put in measures through the regional development agencies to provide additional support to help deal with some of those costs raised by the member opposite.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Well, thank you. I do realize that we've put money, that the Government of Canada has put money into the tourism sector, but it's insufficient. I will raise a specific example. One of the iconic tourism attractions for all of Canada is in my riding, is Butchart Gardens. But the wage subsidy didn't help them because they couldn't bring hundreds of people back to work this season because there were no tourists. And the rent program doesn't help them. What we really need is the kind of program that was just a little tiny dribble, and we need a lot in buckets, going into the regional development offices where businesses that are falling through the cracks can go and apply for assistance. Is additional money being considered for the tourism sector through our regional economic offices?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
So I'd like to again thank the member from Saanich Gulf Island for that very thoughtful and well-informed question. I very much agree with her that in this crisis, the RDAs have played an essential role. As we've heard from a lot of members tonight, what we've done is put in broad-based programs. They have, by their nature, helped a lot of people, literally millions of Canadians, hundreds of thousands of businesses, and that's great. But a broad-based program cannot cover every single specific circumstance, and that's where the RDAs have been so important. So I agree with the member opposite of the very important role the RDAs have played in the past, have played so far in the crisis. We're in a second wave now.
And we'll go back to the Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands. Probably last question.
Very short and very specific. The Honourable Minister may not have noticed an email I sent her earlier today, but one of the charities in my riding, a land conservancy, got a lot of revenue, but it's tied to only buying land. They can't use it for wage subsidies, and now they don't qualify for the wage subsidy. Can there be flexibility?
Honourable Minister.
I saw that the member had sent me an email, but to be perfectly honest, I hadn't had time to open it. So I promise to read it when this evening is complete and to look into the issue carefully.
Thank you. Thank you.